We'll call this meeting to order. This is a special meeting of the Harrison County Board of Education involving a closure hearing, public hearing for Liberty High School. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. As I said, this is a public hearing to hear comments from the public regarding the possible consolidation and consolidation plan. And with that, we have several speakers signed up. Each speaker will have 5 minutes to speak. There's no yielding from other speakers. Questions that are asked will be noted, and then following delegations, like we did in the, we just concluded a hearing prior to this. Any questions that we write down that need to be asked of the superintendent will ask following the delegations. And then if anything needs clarified further than that after the meeting, I'm sure someone most of the staff will still be here to clarify any of those questions or ask any board members. So with that, we'll go down the list of speakers, so they'll go in order, and the 5-minute clock will be over here on the screen. So with that, first speaker for this evening, and by the way, I think with the 5 minutes we should be under, if it was over past 11 o'clock by law, we have to stop and then reconvene, but we should be under that with the speakers. So with that, Bethany Cutright.
Hello. I am here representing 3 very different perspectives on the proposed consolidation merger. My name is Bethany Cutright. I am a lifelong Harrison County resident, proud graduate of Bridgeport High School, 2001. And I'm also a parent of 2 Liberty students who have great grades and are very involved in their school. I am also an employee as a substitute service personnel since 2021. And so I was hesitant to speak because I want to work for the Board of Education in a permanent position. I've been on everything that comes up. I love being in our schools. I have worked at Liberty, where my kids are. When I say my kids, I mean all my kids. My band kids, my kids that I've known since they were at Atkinson. They're all my kids. I've also worked at RCB, and I really like the administration and the staff there. I'm not here to bash them by any means, but they are very, very different schools, very, very different environments. And I've got kids at Byrd too that are my kids, not my blood kids, but kids I've known forever. Kids we coached in youth sports, and kids that were my Girl Scouts when I was a Girl Scout leader. But I really hate to see this merger happen. As a citizen, it concerns me because I really think neighborhood schools are important. And again, having worked at a lot of schools in the county, schools like Northview, I see people walking. Those families are walking their kids to school, and that's not going to be easily happening here. As a parent, obviously, your senior year is a really important thing, and this, you're already navigating all those teenage things. And it's something that's been said a million times. We all know it sucks for your final years in high school to be uprooted and moved and changed. It has to happen to somebody, I'm sure, but it's a bummer, plain and simple. And as an employee, like I said, I've been on everything that comes up, but you kind of have to think this is going to mean less jobs. Do I uproot that idea and quit trying to get a permanent position? I'm already subbing when I can and working another part-time job. That's getting difficult to juggle both of those. I want to land somewhere. Is that going to be a feasible option for me, realistically? Also, as a parent, I'm really concerned about the changes with the band program. Dr. Nestor is amazing, and I don't just say that because I am a booster with the band here. I say that because our kids just went and played the Region 10 Band Fest and played difficulty 5 and 6 pieces and nailed it. They did awesome. They got the highest marks you can get. And while I'm not bashing, I'm not bashing Byrd's program by any means. They don't play as difficult pieces. They're not being pushed and challenged in the way that our students are here. I have 2 kids that want to go into music in secondary education. Are they going to have those same opportunities with the changes in music programs? I also have a kid who's really into the agriculture and FFA here at Liberty. They are so encouraged and nurtured with that here. And I don't know if they have the same level of intensity with those at RCB. So those are questions and concerns I have. I hear all the time from parents that I'm encountering, my kids' friends, people just all around, and everybody says, it's already done, they're going to do what they're going to do. And that may be the case, but I I really feel like consider everything carefully. Consider the community and the people being impacted. And if this does happen, it should be a new school, new name, fair playing field for all the kids. We adapt. We told our kids, no matter what, you are cut rights, no matter what circumstances, you adapt. You make the best out of everything. Not all the kids are able to do that as easily. And like I said, they're all my kids. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, I didn't mention at the beginning, it didn't have bearing on that, but this is the hearing for Liberty High School, and I know there are 6 hearings throughout this week, so we just need to make sure that wasn't the case there. It was all, I just want to give the caution that if it involves another school other than Liberty, which it may not tonight, that those have to take place during those hearings rather than during the hearing for Liberty. So, with that, Renee Stanley.
Hello, I'm a special education teacher here at Liberty. First time I met Mrs. Knight, bring her out here. Second meeting I had, I said, this might be too much for me. Do you remember that conversation? She said, no, don't quit yet. Let's see how it goes. Well, it's almost 12 years later. The kids get to you. They're important. They're so special. I'll be brief. What I keep coming back to with the merger is the following. Special education students and all students learn better in a smaller environment where they are comfortable and feel recognized. And that's Liberty. In recent years, we have struggled to maintain special education teachers and other core teachers because of the rumor that we might be closing. We have some very dedicated teachers at our school, but the stress of what might be coming has made this more difficult. I know some teachers are looking to get out as quickly as possible and never return to teaching. And some have already left this current school year or have plans to leave at the end of this year. If this merger happens, will there be enough special education teachers that are certified and experienced available to our students? The emphasis is experience because there is a difference. Recent changes to the IEP and our writing reviews 2.0 over the last year have once again been a learning experience for all of us. Some say it's easy to write an IEP and update it, but if you're really invested in an experienced teacher, you know it takes some time. Special education teachers currently have to have 2 IEP meetings every year for every student on their caseload. So, if we have less teachers and we have the maximum amount that the law says we can have, which is 30 students on our caseload, 30 students, besides teaching and being in the classroom, we would have to have 60 IEP meetings. Less teachers, more paperwork, most likely, with the ones that are leaving. Each meeting requires prep time to review the student grades, previous testing, review their psychological report, request updated testing. After you talk to school psychologists, locating a parent, finding a phone number sometimes is difficult. Cell phones, they change all the time. Okay, and contacting the DRS for a representative to attend the meeting to discuss career services if they are available to attend. We have deadlines, timelines, by a specific date. Even if you have 15 on your caseload, right now, that's 30 meetings. 30 meetings. It's a lot. A lot of us complete this work for free, at home, on our own time in the evenings and weekends. Besides the paperwork, we need to know our students, their needs inside school and sometimes out. We call CPS, Child Protective Services, but we notice sometimes we're ignored if we can't check all the boxes on their screening. Other professionals here at school follow up with CPS as well. These are just some of the things that we do. At the county level, we have a special ed coordinators and a director of special ed in Harrison County. and they do an excellent job working with us, contacting the State Department when we have concerns, and numerous other duties that they have. Data. You want data? Here's your data. The WVU Institute of Policy Research and Public Affairs in February of 2024 published this. They reviewed the IDEA data for West Virginia special ed. They looked at years 2017 to 2023. They looked at the trends. The data included the age group 14 to 17-year-olds. The numbers are increasing. Every year for that age group is increasing. Now, my time's limited, but to sum it up, if it's still continuing, the trend is to increase. You know, you look at graphs, you've been in school, chances are it's going to continue. Maybe the population is not increasing, but the special ed numbers are, specifically in this county. We're going to combine two programs that have a lot of special ed students. On top of that, you have the Genesis program as well that is served through special ed services at RCB. Please consider these things. These students are not numbers. And as you know, United High School works really well. And you know why? It's small.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amy Mortensen.
Those who fail to learn from the past are doomed to repeat it. In the 1990s, over 300 schools were consolidated in West Virginia. These consolidations were supposed to save money and provide the students in these schools with more academic and extracurricular opportunities. When the results of these closings were reviewed in the investigative report, Closing Costs, none of these stated goals were achieved. The SBA Executive Director, Mr. Williams, admitted that taxpayer money had not been saved and that in fact over $1 billion had been spent. Furthermore, West Virginia counties spent a higher percentage of their budgets on maintenance and utilities 5 years after consolidations occurred. The counties also saw increased transportation costs, resulting in the need to make cuts to classroom funding, fine arts, and even their nutrition programs to balance their budgets. The promised expanded academic offerings were seldom offered, and in the counties that did offer them, they were cut in a few years. In fact, 10% fewer students passed AP exams in West Virginia in the decade after these consolidations occurred. Parents reported their students were stressed and exhausted, their grades slumped, and students were participating in fewer extracurricular activities after consolidation. This was especially true for students that had attended smaller community schools and were from low socioeconomic backgrounds, like many Liberty students. Yes, public education is facing a multitude of problems, but why is Harrison County looking to a solution that West Virginia has tried and that has failed to deliver on any of the promised benefits? And it is not just in West Virginia that consolidation has failed. An article in the Journal of Law, Economics, and Organization reported in 2008 that students educated in smaller schools completed more years of schooling, and that on average, students from larger schools earn significantly lower wages later in life. Under the proposed plan, Liberty and its feeder schools will be the ones to feel the pain, as board members put it in earlier meetings. Liberty High School has the highest percentage of students completing CTE programs. Our award-winning FFA program has access to 2 teachers, 2 classrooms, a greenhouse, and other facilities. At RCB, there is 1 ag classroom and a greenhouse. Is this room to be shared by all 3 teachers? How does this improve the educational opportunities for any student? When I asked questions about the science classrooms, including the availability of appropriate safety equipment, fume hoods, safety showers, eye wash stations, secure rooms for chemical storage, I was told that these were minor concerns and would be dealt with in the future. My concerns were not written down by Superintendent Stutler and have not been addressed and were merely dismissed. When will these be addressed? When a maintenance worker that isn't trained in chemical storage and transport is packing chemicals and is injured, or when a student gains access to a chemical that is not securely stored and injures another student? Overlooking these small issues is what leads to big problems. We need only look to the Challenger disaster and the failure of the old O-rings in cold weather to see what happens when those in a position to make decisions fail to listen to those they lead. Liberty is known for its culture of support from both faculty and staff, as well as from alumni and community. For many students, school is the place where they feel safe and receive support. To understand what these students are facing, look no further than the story of the 2019 graduate who received the Horatio Algiers National Scholarship. It's given to students that have overcome great hardships, including homelessness and parents that are incarcerated. This Liberty alumni story can be found online and is truly heart-wrenching. Without the support of her teachers and coaches here at Liberty, she may not have been able to break the cycle of addiction that affects so many of our students. Would the outcome have been the same in a larger school where teachers and staff have less time to get to know their students? Having certified teachers in classroom is another problem that these consolidations are supposed to solve. Yet teachers have already left education rather than be told what school they will teach at or that they do not have a job in a few years. Some are beginning to explore teaching opportunities in virtual schools and in surrounding counties rather than being in the consolidation process. Coaches that have built programs at Liberty are not going to want to become assistant coaches. When will they leave? Rather than exploring options like the Grow Your Own West Virginia program that encourages and facilitates high school students to pursue a career in education, or the Teachers Ascend into West Virginia, a program to recruit educators from other counties or from other states to move here, Harrison County is creating schools that teachers do not want to teach at, students do not want to attend, and parents and taxpayers do not support. When the benefits of small schools, including increased collaboration between teachers on project-based learning, resulting in happier, engaged students, with lower absence rates and lower dropout rates are being shown across the country, why are we making larger schools? How is consolidation, repeatedly shown to fail in all the stated goals of this proposed plan, going to yield a different result this time? Why are you repeating history rather than making history by being innovative and doing something that might actually solve the problems facing public schools?
Thank you. Tammy Marple.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to speak this evening, and I pray that you are listening. Many of us here this evening have a common goal and want what is best for our children, our grandchildren, our friends, and our neighbors. As we all know, the last 4 years have been increasingly uncertain times. The COVID pandemic kept us apart from family and friends. Grocery stores had empty shelves at times, and many of us know someone who died during this time, and our children lost precious education time. It has been a time of uncertainty and disruption, and although we've survived the pandemic, the world is more uncertain today than ever before in our lifetime. With this uncertainty comes some blessings. We have learned to become more self-sustaining and again learned who our neighbors are, and our small communities are closer than ever. We know our neighbors are people we can count on. They have our backs and we have theirs. Because our world is so uncertain, now is the time more than ever to keep our smaller schools in our communities, where our children have a sense of security. There's no reason to uproot 6 different school groups of families and take children farther from home and place them in unfamiliar places with people they don't know at a time in their lives when they should feel secure in the school as well as at home. I'm not saying the students at WI Middle don't deserve a new place to learn. The building is way past its prime. Northview Elementary probably is due a new building too. Build it. Northview is a tight-knit community and deserves to keep their small school where the kids can walk to school and parents can get there in an instant if it's an emergency. The teacher shortage, COVID was a blessing here too. Teachers and students learned to learn remotely, and many workers have learned to work and meet using Zoom and other resources. If there are only 8 students in one class at one school and 8 in another, and only one teacher, use Zoom. That teacher then has a classroom of 16 students. Besides, are they truly uncertified? I think that's what the newspaper said. Or do they just not have a master's degree in that subject? I do pray that you're listening and consider alternatives to your current plan. Or is this really a done deal as the rumors we hear suggest? One last thing, persistence. From Luke chapter 18, verses 1 through 8, and he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men ought always to pray and not to faint, saying, There was a city judge which feared not God, neither regarded man. And there was a widow in that city, and she came to him, saying, Avenge me of my adversary. And he would not for a while. But afterward he said within himself, Though I fear not God, nor regard man, yet because this widow troubleth me, I will avenge her, unless by continual by her continual coming, she wearied me. And the Lord said, hear what the unjust judge said. And shall not God avenge his own elect, which cry day and night to him, though he bear long with them? Thank you.
Jonathan Benedict.
Hello. I feel like it's only proper to give a 2 weeks notice. I'll give you 6. I quit. I'm not teaching anymore. This is my last year. I'm out. It's very sad to clap. I hope you guys don't actually want all the teachers to quit. But it's not because of the merger. This was a decision made before that. No, it's because a slew of reasons, really. I'll touch on some for you. So I want to do my job, but I can't. The culture just simply isn't there. Countrywide, America's the #1 country there is. We're able to have a better life than half of the rest of the world by collecting unemployment. We're not teaching our children that you actually have to try. We're not teaching them the true value of education. That's a country level. As far as state and county goes, there's a lot of excuses going around. Oh, COVID, that's why they're not doing well? No, that's not why they're not doing well. What policies have been passed recently that actually increase the standards rather than lower them? I'm giving coloring worksheets, for crying out loud. It's very sad. Other teachers in the school and principals are afraid to do their job because they might get in trouble or they might get belittled, yelled at, or sworn at when they do. Today, again, I gave a coloring worksheet. Very sad moment for me. And I asked the kid, well, why isn't your dragon colored in? He goes, oh, well, tough shit. I get sworn at daily whenever I try to do my job. It's a lot easier when I don't. I give a lot of write-ups, nothing really happens. And it's not because the write-ups don't say to get them in trouble, but it's because whenever something actually does happen, what is it, 3 days ISS whenever I get told F you? Oh wow, it was 10 days out whenever I went to school at this location and graduated in 2016. How did that slip so far so quickly? Who writes those policies? Who's in charge of this county's education? I think I'm speaking to them. Yeah, that's an issue I have with this. Pretty bad. I do a lot of after-school activities. I run an after-school science program. I am raising a child in the classroom. It's something that's led by the school's guidance counselor, Mr. Rush. I end up selling tickets whenever I'm asked. I help out with that. We had a quiz bowl competition recently. I got trophies for the egg drop at the school, for the pumpkin drop at the school. Hosted that. I only had one kid show up for the egg drop. That after-school science program I talked about, the kids just aren't motivated. There's no motivation there. When a kid calls their parent, and I mean calls or texts in class because they're able to be on the phones, because that is never backed, because it's just easier not to bother with it. Nothing actually happens. They don't get in trouble, so why do we keep writing the students up if nothing ever happens? And I'm not putting that blame on the principals. That blame does not go on the principals. They don't have the policies to back them and help them enforce it. They could do a little bit more, but it's not on them. I like my 2 principals. Used to be 3. Sad to see one go and not be replaced, as they should have been. I think it was said that there was something thought about for that. But I might just stop the after-school science program. I kind of have to if I'm having one kid show up in the past 3 weeks. So that'll be another thing I'll be leaving. But don't get me wrong, I love my job. This is where I went to school. I love it. It's what I went to 4 years of college for. It's what I spent that many years of my life for. I sat down and thought, you know, an old phrase they say, think not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I did that. I had a 4.2 GPA all throughout my senior year of high school. I scored in the 30s on the ACT. I'm not an idiot. And I went into education, having chemistry classes on a senior level in college, wanting to use my own abilities to do what's best. I'm changing jobs because I can't do my job. I'm morally against what I do every single day when I can't do it. I stay after school for hours sometimes because it's not hourly pay, it's salary pay. So I get paid to do my job, so I still do it. If I spend 20 hours making a sign from scratch just because it's worth it, I'll do it. If I'm teaching something that is one of the standards I have to teach, but it's just, 8 circles in a line called a planet. I'm going to add English to that. If there's something I could throw a graph in there, that's a skill they're going to want to have for life. I would rather work at McDonald's right now than teach. The McDonald's manager pay, by the way, is about the equivalent to what I make right now. So it's not like I'm losing that much money. I'm not. I'm just working a little bit more hours. The reason I'm saying all this is because what are you doing? Whatever choice you make with this, make sure you're doing your job. Right now, I don't feel like I'm doing mine, and that's why I'm leaving. Thank you.
William Schumann.
Let's start off with a quick history lesson. From multiple people, I've heard the term, "we're fighting an uphill battle." I agree with that, but so did Theodore Roosevelt. And not only did he fight it in an uphill battle, it was in the Spanish-American War, he won the battle. Now who's to say anyone in this room can't fight the battle and win? When in October 17th, I'd asked everyone single up here, come in, sit in class, talk to students, talk to staff. Didn't happen. Unfortunately, it took a tragic event just to get the superintendent here. So I'll be here until the 16th, waiting for your guys' vote. You guys can come in, have lunch, talk to students, talk to staff. Whether or not you come, that's the best way to make the decision on how the students feel. I've expressed why I'm trying to keep Liberty open, so for me to repeat myself, it doesn't do any good. But I plan to go into education and eventually return as long as Liberty is open. Unfortunately, it's not looking like that because they're not in the students' best interest. I've had the option over the last summer, to leave Liberty, and because more whispers and rumors about closing had came out, I declined and still thankfully here. Mrs. Butler quoted something from my great aunt Frida Perkins recently about they didn't make rash decisions. Frida always said you have time unless there's an emergency or a child at risk to listen and make the best decision. Now from what I've gathered from my great aunt, this is a rash decision and you weren't fully thinking it through. You need to go back and come up with at least 2 more other plans because obviously we have time if we waited this long to do this. This isn't something Aunt Frida would do or support with as fast as you're going. If she was a huge part of your life, maybe you should think of what she would do, say, or help. I've talked with multiple parents and students, and actually most of the students in the school. I've heard their plan if you decide to close our school, and I'll tell you the number you have made up in your heads that will go to Byrd is further from the truth. But there'll still be kids go there. There definitely will. But they're either going to Lincoln, South Harrison, Doddridge, or somewhere else in the county. It's a shame the county has only looked at one plan, and I find it embarrassing as a student. Now everyone in front of me, and everyone at least behind me as well, knows there's 2 other plans you could look at, but the bare minimum is being utilized. How can a student, staff, or parent, or even a taxpayer trust this plan if nothing is relayed correctly? How can we trust a plan that isn't even fully public? Because I had to go to the board office to get the plans. The messy side of this is from what I found is where do the savings go? Our transportation cost is currently $29,533 yearly. Are you going to put that towards upgrading our facilities yearly or student activities? Why do we run a transitional school with 39 students in it if our school is such a money issue? However, it says we'll save the same from our transportation and we only have Byrd's transportation costs. Where does that money go? Where does our cost disappear to? Because I know that having a 70-minute bus ride is not going to solve the problem. And I also know you currently have mixed buses with all grade levels because you don't have the bus drivers to do multiple buses. So you ain't saving money for that. And what student wants to be up at 6 or earlier to be ready for the bus and make sure they're at school by 7:30? The students are losing valuable sleep, family, and personal time. Now, I could be misinterpreting it like I guess I did in September, but under the personnel section on the front page of the plan, it said all staff will have a job, but they may be at a different location. And I understand Mrs. Stutler will do her best to make sure every staff in this building has a job, and the entire plan has a job. But how is it fair for everything we've lost and we have at stake to lose dedicated staff to follow the students? And I'm not just talking about teachers, I'm talking about the secretaries, the aides, the janitors, and the cooks. I would hate to be forced into a new school with staff that we love. So why should staff also be forced into a new school with all new people? Because does Byrd lose anything but some parking spots and an empty wing? I don't think they do. We lose our identity and everything else. And the opportunities, I don't know where we're getting that from either, because thankfully I'll graduate hopefully, And as a runner, I am glad I'm not going over there. They do have great clubs, they have great programs, but we could have installed them here, but instead we delayed it multiple different times. We have plenty of money here, and I know we do, whether you guys admit it or not. We could have installed those things here, but we've delayed everything. And the COVID is the excuse, but it's not the reason. So on the 16th, when you come to vote, make sure you hold on to you that you're going to kill Salem, because that's what they have left of them. That means hardware. And unfortunately, that's not a school. So, and same for North View, that's all they basically have for them too. Their students are walking to school all the time with their parents, or they're walking home. They have one bus. You're going to put like what, 4 or 5 more buses out there for them and bring them here? Nope. And your impact statements are the same for every plan. You might think we're in the same community, but after you pass Davidson Run in Northview, we're all different. Our two completely different student bodies. We've been left out numerous times. And a great example was today, after we were told we can't do anything for the eclipse, but I've seen pictures of people from the board office outside looking at the eclipse. Thanks.
Paul Hammond.
I would like to share with this board and everyone here the words of the past executive director of the West Virginia School Boards Association, Dr. Howard McCall. Dr. McCall recently retired in 2022, but he had prepared a presentation when he was the executive director titled Various Factors Influencing School Facilities Decision-Making in West Virginia. He said under page 20, under the big picture, perhaps equity and quality can be achieved based on technology and other resources steered towards the future, like schools within schools. Dr. O'Call went on to say that the future of public education is not in sameness, the arguable SBA approach, but in using innovative approaches, and all of us be part of the debate to create a 21st century system of schooling. He also stated that the issue is not small schools per se. The issue is the school aid formula geared towards addressing declining student populations through resultant reduction in personnel. This impact statement that I read shows the capacity to hold students at RCB and Liberty with utilization percentages. Public schools like Liberty with 100 to 120 students per grade level configured for 9 through 12 is too low according to the SBA. Yet we now have public charter schools in this county that's going to be free of the SBA rules, defining capacity as the number of students they can teach per grade level, not the number of students they can hold. This seems to be a sound approach for education, but really unfair when the SBA economies of scale are used to close a public school, but then a public charter school opens and operates in that same school building. In Dr. O'Call's way of thinking, should we not be innovative for the empty space that is not being utilized before deciding that closure and consolidation is the only path? Could you not just secure hallways, block empty rooms, just like businesses and some families do when they're downsize? This board currently doesn't even use all the rooms you have in your building. You have tenants occupying spaces, so you have more room than you need. You found a way. As for the impact statement that has been made available to the public, I have concerns with the data, and I think it really needs to be corrected. It was brought up at the RCB hearing, but we didn't lose 3,433 students. We lost 947 in 10 years, according to paragraph 3.2a. So I think anybody reading that executive statement should be given the correct data. RCB campus contains all athletic facilities according to this impact statement, but there's no mention that Liberty also has all athletic facilities. Policy 6200 was used in the planning and implementation of the closure of Liberty, so I'm curious as to why there's no mention of a need for an auxiliary gymnasium to be built at RCB, since the merger would result in a school of more than 1,000 students. That's also in policy 6200. RCB's transportation cost of $26,906 is the same before and after the merger. So where's the savings for the transporting of Liberty students from Addison, North Duke, Glen Falls, Salem, Sardis, Bristol, Gregory Run, Reynoldsville to RCB? It shows $29,000 as the cost of transportation for Liberty, but that goes to zero after the merger. So those students there's still going to have to be a cost somewhere. I find it hard to believe that there's a savings of $26,906. Same with utilities. You show RCB utilities going up $4,000 after action and saving $252,000 by closing Liberty. Well, the new middle school is going to have utilities probably as high or higher because there's going to be more students there. Same buildings, same utility costs. So again, where's that savings? There is a real concern with the lack of certified teachers in our county as well as the state. But in this plan, paragraph 3.2 and 3.3D says it is increasing the likelihood of more certified teachers in all areas. With all due respect, at best, that sounds like a good probability, but nothing certain. It seems the shortage of certified law teachers needs our lawmakers and the governor's attention immediately now, instead of putting the closure and consolidation as the only path. I do hope that you will consider the western part of the county, low density population, just like you've done for the southern part of the county. Thank you very much. Penny Ables.
Good evening. My name is Penny Ables, and I'm the Finance Secretary here at Liberty High School, and I'm also a proud class of 1994 graduate. You may not know, but there are 3 different job classifications in schools. Administration, which includes your principal, vice principals, and counselors. Their contracts run from 215 to 250 days a year. Professionals are made for all your teachers. Their contracts are 200 days. Service personnel, as your cooks, secretaries, custodians, aides, and LPNs. Their contracts run from 200 to 250 days. Service personnel have different titles. We cannot be classified as just secretaries. The finance secretary, which is myself, works 230 days. I start 3 weeks before the teachers and stay 3 weeks after the teachers to do the open and close of the school's finances. Our nutrition attendant secretary, Katie, she works 200 days a year. We have a head custodian, an additional custodian that works 250 days a year. We have a cafeteria manager. She works 200 days, but has more responsibility than the regular cooks. In the poorly written impact statement and supporting data of the closure and merger of Liberty High School into the existing Robert C. Byrd High School, it states that there will be 8.5 cooks, 11 aides, 9 custodians, 2 LPNs, and 4 secretaries. We are grouped into generic titles with no information on how many head custodians, how many cafeteria managers, what the titles of the secretaries are going to be. No information on what our contract days will be. Mrs. Stutler came to our school in December. I asked her, what was the plan for all the different service jobs and their different contracts? I asked, why will I have to have a pay cut for a job that I'm being forced into? By pay cut, I mean I will lose a month and a half of pay if I am forced to become a 200-day employee. Mrs. Stutler said that they would try to find extra duties to try to avoid that from happening. She also asked if it was possible to have 2 finance secretaries, and of course it is. Many large schools do. You can have a finance secretary for academics and one for athletics. Mrs. Stutler also stated that we would have a meeting with Robert C. Byrd about jobs, schedules, and be able to give our input on how this process will go. As of today, this has not happened. Then that horrible impact statement comes out, and there are still no set answers. I feel that the impact statement was poorly written by someone who did not take into consideration the real impact that this will have on so many employees. This holds true for our teachers as well. 78 teachers are the total number of professional personnel who are anticipated to be employed at the effective school upon the completion and closure of the consolidation. That is a very vague number. They should be told how many math, science, English, CTE, history, art, band, and elective teachers there will be. You cannot say that it will be based on the number of students enrolled. Because if that is true, how do you know you're going to need 78 teachers? How could any of us feel safe at our jobs? Every employee has to wonder if we need to bid on a job to know we will be doing what we have been trained or what we have studied to do. This impact statement has so many errors and misinformation in it that if I truly feel that if anyone in Charleston actually read it, we'd be the laughingstock of the state. How many of you board members have read the impact statement? If you did, I'm sure you will notice or should have noticed all the mistakes. With this being said, how can you vote for something with such little information? As elected board members, I feel you should ask questions like, is this the only option? Is this the safest for our students? Can we redistrict to change the county-wide enrollment? Will this plan actually save us any money? As Americans, we have choices. We have the choice to vote for 2 different candidates for president. We are not just told, here, this is my pick for you, this is going to be your president. Or when you go to purchase a home, are you told, I'm sorry, I don't want to answer your questions about this home, you're just going to buy it. Why are you not asking questions? Why are we starting this when victory is still not finished? Why are you voting for something you haven't even taken the time to look at the whole picture? Why is this the first time you've been in our school this whole consolidation talk began? You have been invited several times to come to our home, not our school, our home. This is our home where us as employees and students want to be. This is not just a building with a price tag attached to it. This is my home. This home's foundation has been rocked this year, and home has brought us closer as a family. We want our questions answered, and we want to know we have been heard. We are Liberty, and we fight on.
Jerry Burgess.
Good evening. I'll try to be a little kinder this time. My name is Jerry Burgess. I've been a substitute and a coach in this county for 15 years. Prior to that, I was in the business world for 33 years. Prior to that, I was an underground coal miner. Prior to that, I spent 7 years as a head football and track coach, science, anatomy, and physiology teacher in the public schools. In 1976, I had to quit because my third child was born. I was making $11,000, almost doubled my salary when I went to work in the coal mine. So I had some empathy for the young man that spoke up here earlier. Things were tough and the pay was bad. Now I can sit here or stand here and look at this board. But let me say first, Wayne Schuman made a statement about an uphill fight. This should not be a fight. Why does it have to be a fight? Why can't we be more proactive, more cooperative, and share some ideas? This affects a lot of people. All we've seen is 9 circles. 9 circles, a Venn diagram. That's not enough. Wayne said something about a fight. We shouldn't have to fight. We need to cooperate. We need to talk. Have we done a community impact study? That's a question I have to ask. Because I'm going to stick with Liberty. Then I have some questions for board members. Mr. Hamrick, it's probably been a couple of months ago, you had public hearings on school closing Norwood.
I'll take the questions.
Yeah, right. I'm just making,
I'll answer them at the conclusion.
you had public hearings, and then there was an article in the newspaper that said, why doesn't anyone show up? What do people think the result's going to be? Are we going to change anything? Are you truly listening? Do you have empathy for what's being said here tonight? Understanding? I went to a big high school. I went to St. Albans High School when it was the 3rd largest school in the state. There was 500 in my graduating class. I get a regular printout from a website called Classmates. I don't know half the people were in my graduating class. sad. Now, Mr. Hogue, please don't share with us your story of 1988 again. We've heard it 3 times. We don't care. It has no impact at all. We want to hear what you're going to do for us, how you're going to make things better. And I'm going to ask you too, why would you share with a relative and a coach months prior to this announcement that this school was closing? Why would you do that? I don't expect an answer now, but why would you do that? I heard that last year, and then a student transferred, or a teacher transferred. That's not right. And then the last thing, if you're going to come to these meetings, don't play with your phone, don't take a nap, pay attention. Now, if you think that I'm making something up, we have pictures and videos. This is obviously more important to us than it is to you.
I want to ask, not to be personal, I mean, so personal to a board member. I understand what you're trying to say.
You want to understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're trying to say. We're just supposed to keep it addressed to the chair and not to individual board members.
Okay. With that, I'm done. Thank you.
Caitlin Epperly.
Good evening. I'm Caitlin Epperly. I'm the Attendance and Child Nutrition Secretary here at Liberty High School. For months now, those of us fighting for the future of Harrison County have heard how this consolidation will bring about ample opportunities for our students in the community. It feels negligent, though, to not consider the possibilities that lie in the negatives as well. I asked the members of the board to consider what might happen if things don't go to plan. What struggles might our students face with an unsuccessful consolidation? Moving beyond the argument that you are putting 2 rival high schools in the same building, now you are pitting child against child in a competition for resources. The number of opportunities that you are promising will still come with a maximum capacity. There will only be a certain number of spots for each opportunity provided. This applies to academics, sports teams, and clubs. There will be children whose needs fail to be met. When they have been moved from vying for 1 spot against 500 to 600 students to now competing against 1,000, how do we ensure that each child feels as though they have more opportunities? Speaking of numbers, I'm not comfortable with the ratio of students per faculty in this consolidation. One of the biggest positives from Liberty is that with our small numbers, we, the faculty, know our students. Lost my place. Ask anyone from Liberty and they will tell you that I specifically know our students. Knowing them by name is an advantage that often gets overlooked, but our students don't deserve any less. I have fears over what that will look like on a bigger scale. It is fair to say that more of our students' issues get addressed because we can identify even the smallest changes in their behaviors. What happens when a behavior is missed? What will you do for the student who falls through the cracks? How do we keep them from getting lost in the sea of students struggling to cope with these changes? I know that this is all speculative. I know that it's difficult to think about potential issues when some consolidation hasn't occurred, but I urge you to think about it. If the student who clings to sports as the only escape from an unpleasant situation at home doesn't get picked by a coach who never had them, how is consolidation better for that student? If a teacher who is still adjusting to their larger class sizes fails to notice evidence of self-harm or abuse, better yet, if that teacher does notice and reports it to a counselor who is working triple time already, trying to make schedules, working on college prep, talking to students who are feeling lost, dropping students to homeschool or virtual, and now we've added another serious issue. Things will have to be pushed to the side. Some students will have to wait. They will be made to feel as though their needs are lesser. While I've worried over what to say to you, I've concluded that there is nothing I, as one person, could say to make you change your mind. Instead, what may sway you is the community outcry tonight. There are many concerns that have been addressed, and all I ask is that you listen to each one. Consider every speaker's words carefully and pay heed to what they are saying. We cannot gamble with the futures of our students and expect to use them as collateral should we fail. Thank you.
Dana Pode or Pody? Oh. Handwriting.
Hi, I'm Dana Poole. I'm the Pro Start teacher here at Liberty. My stance today is to support the Pro Start program and the current and future students. I am not looking at this from an RCV versus Liberty point of view, because as former substitute teacher, I worked in all schools from both feeder areas, and I am very familiar with the students. The Pro Start program is a 2-year completer program that focuses the skills needed for a successful employment in a restaurant environment. The Pro Start curriculum integrates performance-based learning with academics. This is done by students running a simulated workplace. Some of the obligations beyond the daily activities we do are holiday events, academic achievement banquet, FFA banquet, senior breakfast, CTE advisory board meetings, Harrison County Schools Science Fair, and college and career fair. For example, this school year, our students produced 276 pumpkin rolls, 93 cookie trays, 62 pecan pies, 96 truffle trays. The point is that we are in the kitchen producing large-scale projects daily, and the kids gain tremendous work ethic. We have had 45 completers in 4 years. 13 out of the 14 students this year scored above the state and national average on the NOCTI. The Pro Start NOCTI is one of the most in-depth of the NOCTI exams with 212 questions, and it's a really hard test. The 2024 students had the highest scores on the NOCTI test out of the 4 years we have taken it. The governor's workforce is the highest achievement for a West Virginia CTE student. We currently have 2 students who have achieved this, and we are anticipating adding 3 more next year. We're starting to see more students interested in careers in the restaurant hospitality industry. We've had interest from students at Bridgeport High School, and we currently have a BHS student enrolled in the program, and they are finishing year 1. Some of the concerns that I have. There has been talk that the Pro Start program will be sharing a kitchen at RCB with the existing baking and pastry program. If true, I feel this is unfair, not only to the Pro Start students, but also for the students in the baking and pastry. These are 2 different CTE programs taught by 2 different instructors. I'm here to defend both programs because this approach would be a disservice to the students. The kitchen is the lab of the Pro Start program. I calculated my lesson plans. We are in the kitchen 72% of the school year. During busy seasons, which are many, the kitchen may be used daily in all 3 classes. And there are often unknown projects or events that spring up at random. I'm concerned that increased class sizes could impact the ability to accommodate the needs of all students, including students with exceptionalities. In reference to policy or state policy 6200, which says that the Pro Start program should have a classroom, a kitchen, and a dry storage room totaling approximately 3,500 square feet. Proper scheduling is critical so that the students can attain completion of the program within the appropriate time frame. I want and need to be involved with whatever the future holds for this program. So I have a few questions. Will the business money generated from the program follow the program at RCB? Will there be a curriculum budget for the Pro Start program? Funding for the program has never been set clear. The curriculum funding is used to purchase food for instructional purposes. Currently, we use levy and county funds to purchase supplies. This year, the county program budget was half of the previous 2 school years. As everyone is aware, food costs are not getting any cheaper. The goal is for the program to become self-sustaining. However, the program is not at this point yet. Will the facilities at RCB support Policy 6200? Will the RCB faculty house the existing ProStart equipment and furnishing acquired through the state grants, including the classroom dining style tables? Will the 2025 RCB schedule accommodate any students who complete year one up to ProStart at Liberty in the 24-25 school year, so they are given the opportunity to complete the program? Will the facilities at RCB be ready and equal to what has already been implemented at Liberty so we can continue to grow the program? Finally, I just want to say that since I was a little girl, I've always wanted to teach. I love my students and I just want to teach wherever that may be. I just want to make sure that the ProStart program is implemented correctly. Thank you for your time, and I do have a little handout for you.
Thank you. Raymond Byrd.
Good evening, here at County VOV. First of all, I'd like to start off by asking a few questions. Why would you close down a school that is a country boiled setting for all these kids in a country life? Why would you take that away? Why would you put two rivals together, knowing there's going to be more fights, more violence? They're not going to get along. You're going to have to pay more PR officers, and it's going to be ridiculous. Like, why take away something that's been home for so many students for so many years? And the students that have already graduated, they want their kids to go here. What about that? What about the parents that are struggling making $8.75, $9 an hour to take their kids to school already? You're going to take them 20 more minutes down the road, 30 more minutes down the road? What about that? The economy's not getting any better, let's face it. It sucks. And the Magna football team, Coach Harmon puts hours of effort into these kids. What about that? Are you just going to disregard everything the coach has done? I mean, that's how I feel. Like, you're taking kids that have put effort into this football team, and coaches that have put effort into this football team, and you're going to take them and throw them into RCB. They're already rivals. I mean, what's the point? Are the kids going to get a fair chance to play if they're starting for Liberty? Are they going to get to start at RCB, or are they going to be benched? Are you prepared to handle that big of a football team? Are you prepared to handle mad parents when their kids are starting at Liberty and are not getting to start at Byrd? That's my thing. You're going to take all these kids that are playing football, playing basketball, playing baseball, and they're starting. What are you going to do if they don't get to start at Byrd? And you got parents complaining and calling. Because you're going to have to get ready for it. It's going to happen. You're going to lose all kinds of kids. You're going to get Doddridge, Richie. I mean, and my other point is, why would you guys be spreading rumors 2 years before this is even going to happen? I mean, this was going on when I was in school, talking about closing the school. You've been talking about it for years, and you're just now doing something. If you was too concerned about closing the school, why not do it back then when you was talking about it? Why not make it happen then? Why now? That's all I got to say.
Tyler Stewart.
Some of you know me, some of you don't. Coach Stewart, Coach Steele. I've been lucky enough, I have taught in 3 of the schools that you are considering. I started off in Salem being a special ed teacher, then I went up to Mountain Middle, and then I'm now at Liberty High School. Mr. Ware was actually a big influence when it came to deciding if I wanted to teach or not. And I did. And I've got to teach at all 3 schools that I went to. I was part of a merger, okay? I was there whenever you did Gore and Salem, okay? okay? That wasn't as bad because we were on the same side of the road, if you want to say. We knew each other already. Now, I'm finishing up year 16, okay? And I have my lovely wife, and I have my 2 beautiful sons. And my son is starting preschool next year. And we had to make a very difficult decision based on what you guys have decided. Well, what we pretty much know you've decided, which I'm hoping that you rethink that. We had to decide whether to homeschool our kid, because we didn't know whether you were going to combine the elementary school that he was going to go to, or if we had to move out of county and pick a different path for my child to go to. We ended up picking Dodger. And it's sad to say, because if anybody knows me, knows how much I love these kids, and I love this school. If you would have asked me 2 years ago if my kids where they would have been going, I would have told you they would have been going to Salem, they would have been going to Mountain Mill, they would go to Liberty. Coach Harmon could be right there with me. He knows how I feel about it. He knows how he feels about it. The fact that he's got to think about whether his kids are going to go to a different school or not, and the amount of hours that he has put into this school is heartbreaking. What you're going to find out is that my graduating class, our kids are starting to get to the point of where they're going into school, and they are picking other options in Harrison County, which affects the long term, because I don't really think we're thinking about the long term. I'm a special ed teacher. I teach math, special ed, far and in between on the ones that get to teach math and get to teach special ed kids, and they actually enjoy having your class. But I'll tell you right now, math is usually not their favorite subject by the time they get to me. RCB and Liberty, if you combine it, we're going to be at 27% special ed. Have you thought about, do you have a plan for special ed? If you do, where is that plan? Because it hasn't been brought forward. The paperwork that you sent out has nothing to do with special ed. We're losing teachers left and right because they want to pick their own destiny instead of whatever you guys decide. And the problem with that is the charter schools opening up. Guess what they need? They need teachers too, right? And depending on what you guys decide will depend on whether or not some of these teachers go that route. Because the perk of charter school is they can pay you because it's private. So, here are my questions. Do you have a plan? Where is it? Why haven't we seen it? When did you develop the plan? Board members, did you get together whenever you weren't supposed to discuss it, or have you even been told what the special ed plan is? Because some of you, when I brought it up, you didn't look like you have any clue what's going on. How are you supposed to keep the co-taught classes under 50% when both schools are already having trouble doing that now? Not to mention that special ed across the county is at depleting teachers, right? If anybody's ever seen the posting, you know we don't have special ed teachers in this county, which means we have substitutes that are writing IEPs that are not qualified to do so, which is putting a lot more on the rest of the special ed teachers to help out with that. And that's not going to get any better when you get up to 30%, 27 to 30%. Please think about that before you combine the kids. Because a lot of us, depending on what you guys decide, are going to decide whether or not we pick a different profession or a different county to teach at. Because there's a lot of counties around us that pay a lot more than what we do here. And the only reason we're here is because we love our school.
John Pitts.
two boys, young boys. One in junior here at Liberty, and one going to Mountaineer Middle. I did grow up in larger schools. Went to school all around this country. I'll be the first to tell you that larger schools ain't where it's at. It's not. Actually, in a lot of the states, larger schools they're going back to smaller schools. We heard about Morgantown. I don't care about that. I've seen it. I grew up in it. I also grew up being from outside, coming in. And I'll tell you, I don't have long-term friends. I wasn't accepted when I came here fully. I had some friends, you know, because I was different. You know, I was a standout athlete. I was a freshman quarterback. And you come here, and you're not even looked at. I was told by two coaches, baseball and football. They said, thanks, son, we got our team. Till they see me in the gym, and I race in gym, and then they're like, hey, son, why didn't you come out for the team? Nah, I'm good. Now, looking back, I wish I would have had somebody that pushed me to, no, you're going to play. You know what I mean? I didn't have that. But I'll tell you, the larger school's not where it's at. You got to think about these kids. These kids have to have an identity. They have to have the time to be with these teachers. They don't have the time now with 30 in the class. I don't know where you guys are going to go with consolidate. I mean, it needs to be more like 20. As you think about the time, I mean, it's 2 minutes a kid with 20. That's not enough time to learn. And then these kids are coming home. They don't have resources. They don't have books. How do I help these kids with their studies? I don't know what they're learning. I get little bits, but I don't have a book. I had a book when I was a kid. At least my parents could help me then. But you do. You have to think about the kids. It has to be more than money, guys. It does. Because it's going to affect them long term. This isn't just now. It's not even just about friends, but it's about opportunities. That's all I
Kirby Knight.
All right, so several people's been talking about the documents and everything, and there's been, inaccuracies in it. Kids come to school to learn. It's an environment where kids are allowed to fail. It's where they practice. It's where they learn how to be an adult. It's a safe place for failure. You guys really haven't talked a lot in the multiple meetings that we've had. You've heard a lot of delegations, what, 4, 5, 6 hours worth? That's a lot. There's not a lot of questions posed to you guys. A lot of emotional stories. But we still haven't ever had the feeling as a community that you guys are talking about this subject. You're listening to us, and you're hearing or paying attention to what we're saying. But we're not getting what you guys are saying, or what you're saying back, or what questions you have. At RCB, I think you guys closed the meeting with a motion of, hey, we're going to second this motion, we're going to have Ms. Stutler gather information, and after that information's gathered, we're going to have a meeting and discuss this and ask questions. How did that happen? Did we ever do that? Did it ever take place? How did we even get to these meetings? I don't go to all the board meetings, but I do go to several of them. I've never seen where Mr. Hamrick had on the agenda for these meetings. They just appeared in the paper. How does that happen? What procedures is that? Again, we're a community. We want to be part of the process. Currently, it's all been one way. It's all of us talking to you guys. Hey, this is our concerns. This is our concerns. This is our concerns. Some of them's legitimate, some of them's not. But they're concerns to us. You're asking the community for input. Why are we not at board meetings? Yeah, that's our fault. We should be at board meetings. We have let this happen. This isn't you guys, this is us. We weren't at these meetings. We're starting to come to them more and more. But we're not getting answers. We can address you in the delegation, but you won't address us back. We can come up to you after the meeting. I don't want to know what you wants to tell me. Everybody wants to know. We're just asking for some transparency in this. Maybe consolidation is what we have to do. But this document's not what proves it. If you have other information, we're dying to see what it is. We would love to see what it is. Our kids go here. We went here. If this document, again, kids are in the educational world to practice, to learn, to fail if they need to, so they can get better at it. This document, this isn't practice. This is the real thing. This is real. This has consequences that won't be felt today or tomorrow, but it's generational. And if anybody looked at it, it's awful. I don't know who proofread this. Did someone proofread it? I mean, I don't want to call it out, but some of the stuff is just templates that we didn't take it out. Formatting's awful. I mean, I had a wonderful, wonderful math teacher when I was here. And if you go to your forms on your chart, let's go. Sorry, here I gotta find it. Shuffled all my papers. But the chart that shows, utilization. Oh boy, I got 48 seconds and I can't find them. Thanks. But anyway, this is simple math. You go down through and you add it up, it comes like 800 and some. But the numbers on here's 1100. We can't even do basic math. You guys aren't double checking the stuff. If we would send this to Charleston, I would hope that they'd send it back. I would hope that this is not the document that you guys are trying to make your decision based off of. If one of these teachers' kids turn this in for their class, a D is probably at best. But we're wanting to make a decision off of this. When are you guys going to start asking questions? That's all we're asking. Ask questions. Because we want to know. We want to know.
Thank you. I wanted to make sure we had one signed up and then scratch the name off, Ken Holston. I don't know if they still want to speak or they just didn't want to skip over based on the line through.
I put my name down and then I scratched it off because I sometimes didn't feel listened to. I spoke about my son last time I was here, and maybe you remember that. A felony was committed against my son when he went to high school, and it changed our life. It changed his life forever. He's never been the same. You can ask some of his teachers that were here. He's a good kid. He went to school with, went to church with Jim Lopez. He didn't have any problems until he went to school and went to high school and was bullied and slipped a drug. And he's never been the same since. And our family's never been the same since. And I didn't press any charges against the school or anything then. I came to work for you. And I thought to myself, I want to make a difference. I don't want the families to go through, any family to go through what my family's been through. Bigger isn't better. My son went to school here. It wasn't that big. but he wasn't being supervised well enough that something like this didn't happen to him, it didn't happen to my family. My life will never be the same. I'll spend my life taking care of my son. Things happen. I'm sure that my son is not the only one that things like this have happened to in the school system. I brought to the principal a program on bullying after my son was treated the way he was. And I pleaded with them to implement that. And I was brushed off. I was never again talked to by the principal. He gave me to Mrs. Knight. Mrs. Knight was a wonderful lady. And she said, "This is a felony against your son." And I said, "I know that. But my doctor said that he's in such bad shape that he couldn't go through, hearing, and I don't really want to do that. I'm not that type of person. But I beg of you, don't make bigger schools. They've tried bigger schools in other states. It doesn't work. The kids suffer. Big schools just cause more problems. They don't solve problems. And we elected you all to work for us, not to, okay what the board wants. We hired you to okay what we want. Do you know what we want? I think all of us here have said what we want. We don't want bigger schools for our kids. We want small schools where they can be supervised and protected. Have you watched, all the school shootings that are on TV? They've had so many school shootings, they don't show them anymore. They don't want kids to get ideas from some other school that did something to, kill kids. It's not gone away just because they don't show it on TV. It's real. And the world, as you can see, it isn't any better than it used to be. It's worse. And I don't know what I can say more. I just beg of you, please don't make bigger schools. Come up with a plan. They had a plan where they could, build a new middle school there at Highfield. Do that. Do something. Come up with something. Don't let our kids do this. They don't deserve that. This is a great school. Yes, things happen to my son here, but I went to the memorial service for the teacher. We have a wonderful support system with each other. We love each other, and we're there for each other. And that's what school should be. Teachers should know their kids and love their kids and know their families and know what their families are going through so they can help them. That's community, and that's what a school should be, not just a huge throwing every other school to save money. So listen to these people, please. Listen to me. Don't put any other family through what mine's been through.
Vanessa Thompson.
At the Byrd meeting, I had discussed funding, where the money went. That question was never answered. Where did the money go? Our students nowadays seem to never catch a break to even focus on their education. You want to know why test scores are down? Instead of studying for their tests, they're using their educational time to research and study on what they can do to save their schools. These schools are more important than what is based on a piece of paper. These schools provide more of a foundation and structure that most kids unfortunately don't have at home. By consolidating our schools, it takes away from one-on-one open relationships that our teachers provide on a daily basis. In some cases, save children's lives at that time is their time to cry for help in need of a home situation. Our teachers and staff in these smaller schools, they know the kids by name, whether it's in the school or walking in town. By combining, our kids will be treated as cattle. There won't be a bond between our kids. Nowadays, that is very important for our kids.
Our kids have faced more anxiety and mental health over all of this that you have caused. They have lost interest in going to school. Why, might you ask? Well, would you want to go to a job and put work into it daily knowing your job is shutting down? What is the point? Why should I bother is the new daily conversation we have with our children. I will let you in on a little secret of ours. We as a community are fed up with the lies after lies, speaking out of both sides of your mouths depending on what and who is standing in front of you. Acting as if you own not only our kids but our family and our future. You have tormented not only our kids, our family, our communities, as well as local businesses. These kids have lost out on their best years of their high school days. You have took that time from them. Some of us parents are already looking into filing lawsuits for mental health, emotional distress, loss of education from having non-certified teachers to teach them, etc. That you, as a board, have caused for our children. Doug Hogue, I'll ask you, since you have been on the board the longest, how can you vote when this hasn't been discussed or even brought up in the board meetings on Tuesdays? When was the school's name changed? It was not on the agenda for discussion. By law, that should have been discussed in a public manner. When and where did you all discuss the dates you have chosen to have these school meetings that we are currently having? None of this was on the agenda. Making the plan booklets you all have provided each school to have for us to go read into your mess for these that have not been released that you all paid someone to do is a disgrace. Have you read over those? Or was it a hurry, let's get this over with, a slap of a letter on each school doors so we can get this over with? It's pathetic that even the principals of each of these schools didn't have a clue till a student brought it to their attention. Stutler, in the past meetings you have said that no one will lose their job. Telling Byrd employees that their jobs are saved, telling everyone else that their jobs will have to be bidded out and the one with the most seniority gets the job. What is really the truth? How many jobs have you ripped this year compared to last year in service personnel? Are you going to be put them in their positions they aren't certified in for all those positions would be full? When employees lose their jobs, you're pushing those families out of our community for all teaching positions will be full, not able to fill those positions that they are certified in. You expect them to fill in as bus drivers, for you'll need more of those. Some of the money saved as a result of consolidation is a result of cutting jobs. Small town schools are often one of the largest employers in the town, and when a school closes, it can have a negative effect on the community. School workers who are laid off will face much stiffer competition for those positions in the consolidation school and face a good chance of not getting hired. The money spent on schools is particularly returned to a local community as school employees spend their salaries at local businesses. By shutting smaller schools, consolidation takes the money out of the small town community. For example, look how the town of Nutterport was coming to Nutterport Elementary School looking for funds to provide for their town. They went straight to wanting to charge each employee for working in their town. Nutterport is one of the biggest schools in Harrison County. We have asked you before, and I'll ask you again, why are you not all involved in our schools? Not when an emergency happens. I'm talking about taking a stroll down these hallways, interacting with our kids, knowing the ins and outs of our schools from the inside. How can you be in charge of thousands of kids when you only know them if there's a problem? Do you know they have no idea who you all were until this all came about with the consolidation? They know now more than probably your own family does at this point because of all the research. And I will say, thank you for the Clarksburg cops for being here. We didn't have the cops at Byrd meeting, which was just a couple hours ago. I will say that if you guys feel unsafe by having them here, can you imagine how our kids are going to feel whenever you guys combine these schools? You're going to need more than just 2 cops. Thank you.
Tricia Chevron.
First off, I want to start by just saying, do y'all hear these people? Do you hear how passionate they are about their school, their students, their home base? Do you all hear how much they love it here? You guys do realize they're the ones that vote, and they keep you in the positions that you're in. That speaks volumes if our parents, our voters, your staff, if they're not listened to, and if that doesn't reflect in them, their speeches, how long do you think that you are going to hold board positions?
mean, if this is something that you're passionate about, something that you truly want to change, listen to these people that have come up here to speak. So I've spoke before. I can't really hit on anything that nobody else has already talked about. Penny and Ms. Mortensen did a great job talking about statistics, but I think that doesn't need to be hit on again. I think that Mr. Benedum, you rock. Like, my kids remember him from when he was little. That is what teachers should be, passionate about what they are. And I think that every single teacher that stood up here and talked has been passionate about these kids. So I do have a lot of questions about what's going to happen. Mr. Stewart spoke about special education. So right now, most of our special education classrooms are sitting above our 20% where we're supposed to be. So when we combine those classrooms, what happens when we have 90% special education kids per classroom? How are we going to handle that? How are we going to teach 90% special education with a teacher and co-teacher? How's that going to happen? How are you going to handle overcapacity in the next couple of years? You know, we look at our numbers right now, and I know you guys have said over and over again, you can't use projected numbers, but projected numbers in the first couple of years that your consolidated high school is open, you're over capacity. How are we going to handle that? West Virginia has always been super behind the times, so I feel like we aren't learning from history, as has been said before, so we're going to make the mistake that other states have made and then try to backpedal, which we know doesn't work. I have a son who has gone to school with the same group of kids since he was 4 years old. So John Chip stood up here and talked about friends. These are kids that have played ball together since they were 5 years old. They have been on a football field, a baseball field, a wrestling mat since they were 5 years old. These kids couldn't wait until middle school. They were so excited for middle school, so excited for high school, because finally they all could play on the same team. And I'm sure that Coach Harmon would love to have those kids that have played together since the age of 5. Now, I know that everybody stands up here and talks about how they feel. You guys have to listen to how your voters feel. That's important if you want to keep these positions that you have. They're very important. I want to know how the board will handle things in the event that the levy is voted down. And I know that you all think that can't happen. I know the comment has been made that it's like cutting off your own nose to spite your face, but people do it every day. And I feel like that's going to happen because people aren't being heard, or they don't feel like they're being heard. They don't feel like their concerns are being taken seriously. You know, that's a serious question that I would like answered. I know what the levy provides for my children, but what happens when we don't have one? That's a huge problem. I want to know how we're going to handle our increased transportation costs, what the plan for all of our vacant school buildings will be. I want to know why we're not rezoning schools. If Bridgeport is busting at the seams and Byrd and Liberty are down, why aren't we rezoning? Why aren't we shifting children to fill the buildings that we already have instead of And I think you guys forget about our local organizations, Clarksburg Panthers and the Clarksburg Eagles. Those have been in place for a really long time. So Mountain Youth Football, their bylaws state that kids have to play for the high school that they go to. So essentially with this consolidation, merger, whatever you want to call it, you're going to kill those organizations. You're going to kill one of them. It's going to be the Panthers. You're going to kill that organization. They're going to have to, all those kids are going to have to absorb by the Eagles. My time's up. Thank you.
Shirley Jackson.
My name is Shirley Jackson. I'm a freshman from Liberty High School, and I want to tell you guys how what you guys heard, that Liberty is home, I want to explain it more. Liberty is more than a home, and I speak from this from experience as I have transferred from another county, from another school in our county. Liberty, we're always there for each other. Even as you guys have seen, we've had something happen, and everybody showed up that night to be together and to share our grief. We wear a motto on some of our shirts, as you can see back there. One team, one school, one family. It's not just something we wear on a shirt, it's something we live here at Liberty. This merger will increase anxiety in many kids that I go to school with, increasing absences because they do not feel safe in a new environment. It will lead to many more dropouts and increased failures. Also, my little brother, he's autistic. I feel that him being in a bigger special education classroom with 3 times as many students as he's used to will set him up for failure. And I don't want to see my friends, my family, or I fail due to being in the hands of you guys and you guys deciding our future. Our generation has already been on a rough path due to COVID. I lost half of my 5th grade year, half of my whole 6th grade year, and half of my 7th. I don't think our education should be put on any more of a rocky road due to this merger. Please, don't do it. Thanks, that's all.
Charles Powell.
Hello, everybody. Superintendent Stutler, esteemed members of the Board of Education of Harrison County. My name is Dr. Charles W. Powell II. You have heard the emotional outcry. You have heard parents. You have heard teachers. Now, I want to stand here as an expert witness on this. I have a doctorate in business administration, triple master's in criminal justice, as well as a dual bachelor's in criminal justice. I say that because I read over your impact statement. The data is off. The numbers is off. Due to my lack of vision, I didn't bring notes, but I am documenting this, going down, sending it to Charleston as I attempted to email each one of you guys and haven't heard nothing back yet. The budget that you put up don't exist. You say you're saving money, you're not. But all of that will be documented coming to you guys, each one of you, as well as Charleston. On another aspect, I have brought up the conversation, I have put documentation out that the threats that have been made from RCB, that any student of Liberty come in there is going to be violence. I brought that to your attention, I documented that for the state, because on the criminal justice side, now that you guys know this, for each time a student is hurt, a student is beat or violent or even bullied, you're an accessory to that. You're not doing nothing to stop that. You are encouraging that by merging these schools. You brought the Clarksburg Police Department here with you, which I take my hat off to them. I did a paper on the Clarksburg Police Department. Are you thinking about how you're going to make their jobs harder? Because bigger schools, less attention to students, is going to be the dropout rate is going to be higher, which means the crime rate is going to be higher. You want to put a number on these students by consolidation. You're going to save money? How much money do you think is going to cost you when you get sued for all the violence that's going to happen? You want to put a number on these students? Let's put the number of a statistic. How many are going to fall through the cracks? How many are going to drop out of school? How many is going to end up on the streets? How many is going to end up homeless? When you say, let's consolidate the schools so we can make money, you're not going to teach these children, so these children have nothing to look forward to. You want to shut down Liberty? Did you hear about Quentin? The boy got a full ride to one of the best schools in the country. He didn't go to RCB, he went to Liberty. Did you see what Liberty is doing? A tragic accident happened. I was here that night to see the community come together, to show the love, support for the family, to show the support for the student because it was an accident. You guys sit up here and I respect all of you guys. I know that you have a job to do. Don't be peer pressured. Don't look at a dollar sign because you know what? You are taking away from the children. The Board of Education's main goal is the best for the children. My child goes to school. She feels safe here because all the teachers know her. The upperclassmen know her. Her classmates know her. If she goes to a bigger school, the RCB, and it's twice as bigger, and something happened to her, God forbid, not only the legal system, but if someone hurts your child, what would you do? This is not a threat, people. You're going to cause more problems than you're solving. You can sit up here and look at it, okay, we're going to save money. No, you're not. I looked at the numbers that you put on your proposal, and I think Mr. Knight said it, Toby Knight said it best. I can't see, and I've seen all the mistakes in that proposal. If a blind man can see it, God knows whoever goes to see it. So I'm just asking you, before you jump out the window and make a bad situation worse, look at what you're doing. I've heard that you guys discussing things, you're telling family members coaching, and you're telling everybody 2 years ago that the school's going to close. I'm not even going to bring up the ethical violations on that one. You don't even supposed to be talking about this outside of your meetings. You guys supposed to talk together. Listen to what the people are saying. You're not worried about the people who vote for you. You're not worried about how many communities you're going to break apart, how many children you're going to put at risk. You think Charleston, this state, is actually going to back you with all the school violence going on? And we're telling you, we're letting you know threats has been made. And threats are already being made, and you haven't consolidated yet. When it happened, all your PR people, your high-priced lawyers in Bridgeport ain't gonna save you. Trust me.
Missy Adams.
Hi, I'm Missy Adams. And I'm here as a CT. As a CT Human Service teacher here at Liberty High School. I'm here this evening to explain to you about my program and my concerns moving forward. 13 years ago, I was given an opportunity here at Liberty by Mrs. Knight. And I'm very appreciative of that. In 2013, Mrs. Knight asked me if I would teach 2 classes and be a part of the Human Service Completer program. I'm sorry, I'm a very emotional person. Along with Mrs. Weeks. Mrs. Weeks since has retired, and I was moved down to room 102 and 103. I made a joke with Mrs. Knight, said I'm 1 step away out the door. But I'm still here, 8 years later, and I am the only teacher for the Human Service program in Harrison County. I know there is a program at RCB, but it is under the old program, and it is being phased out. So that is my concern, because I am a one-woman show. I'm very fortunate here at Liberty High School as I have a very large classroom, where I can have a classroom on one side and a simulated workplace on the other. Years ago, we were told that we had to have a store and sell products. And I was like, okay, what am I gonna sell? I'm human services. What services can I provide? So as the non-crafty person that I am, I have come up with sublimation. And so we make things that we sublimate. And I have some mugs here for you, left over from the CT Council because not everyone showed up. So, lucky you. Anyways, I come, like with all good breakups, I come with a lot of baggage. I have 5 heat presses, 3 tumbler presses, 2 printers, 6 desktop computers with tables and chairs, a large prep table, small work tables, a Cricut station with desktop computer for my simulated workplace, as well as 15 simulated babies, big cabinet to hold all my supplies, not to mention the 3 closets that I have full of materials. Car seats, 5 adult and 5 CPR mannequins for my parenting and strong families. I teach all 5 classes of the simulated program myself. I have 6 different preps because I do have to teach a phys ed class one class a semester, or 1 class a year, I'm sorry. I have provided some pictures of my classroom to show you what my classroom setup is. To make my program successful, I need a classroom with ample electrical outlets and a room for both a classroom and a simulated workplace. My machines do have a slight odor, so ventilation would be a bonus. I am the strange smell that you smell in the hallways. I would also need to have a fire extinguisher in my classroom. Will all of this be provided to me when we merge into RCB? Will there be resources and money available for my students to continue their sublimation business? We have been told that RCB teachers get to keep their classrooms and positions, and Liberty staff will fill in when available, or where available. We have not seen a plan. I thought the board voted for Ms. Stetler to create a plan, which I thought meant on how this would all be implemented. What would the new high school look like with Liberty and RCB staff combined? All we got were closing hearings and plans to close. I have yet to see a plan for a merger on how RCB is going to include us in their schedule. You've already started to add classrooms, but you haven't even asked the teachers at Liberty what their needs will be. In the closing plan, you mentioned more opportunities. What new opportunities? Over the past 8 years, I've been working on building my CTA program, and our company Stand Tall. I've had over 70 completers and 3 governor workforce credential applicants. And as Ms. Poole said, that is the highest CT honor, and they're coming from Liberty. No other high school in this county has CT governor task force credential credits. And if they did, they didn't apply for them, but we did here at Liberty. My completers are workplace ready. They're ready to go and leave and go to the workforce. They're not necessarily college bound, but they're ready to go out and start a job. They are OSHA 10 certified, they have their food handler's card, and they have other soft skills. They're professional. They wear uniforms. They clock in. I don't have discipline problems because my class is run as a simulated workplace, and my kids stand tall. That's our company name. We stand tall, and we stand tall on business.
Thank you.
Oh, is my time up? I'm so sorry. Well, anyways, I have some pictures. That was fast 5 minutes. 90 minutes is right on there. And it all says, it's a great day to be a mountaineer. So enjoy your coffee. This is one of my students, one of my completers. And my students actually designed, each one of them designed their own cup and made it.
Stan Heflin.
Good evening. You know, this is probably the 4th or 5th time that I've addressed this board, and I had several notes that I was going to talk about, questions I was going to ask, and I realized something at the last meeting. I asked several questions. I think a couple of them were somewhat addressed at the end of it, maybe not completely. I don't think that this board is interested in providing any answers. And if you listen to the people behind me and the people that have been speaking, that's how they feel. Your voters, your constituents feel that you don't care what their opinion is, and that you don't care what they think, and that you don't care what their needs are. You know, a lack of transparency is a problem. It's a problem across governments all across our country. And when you have a lack of transparency combined with a lack of response, it creates a complete lack of faith. You listen to a couple of people talk about what happens if the levy's voted down. Well, I'm asking you, what are you doing to stop the levy from being voted down? I remember the last time the levy ran, there were ads by people not affiliated with anybody with this consolidation opposing it just because of the higher taxes. Well, what are you going to do when you combine that opposition with a complete lack of faith in your ability to govern? Then you're going to end up with a financial situation to where everybody leaves public school, or at least tries to, and looks for alternatives. You know, there's been several rumors discussed, and I've heard the rumors. I've heard them for a couple of years. Rumors of discussions, rumors of what information is out there, rumors of what you guys are really considering. Well, I'm going to address a few additional questions. And Mr. Hamrick, I do believe that under the statute, we can't address, in this specific hearing, we can't address board members and the superintendent. So I'm going to...
I didn't say you couldn't address, it's just the personal nature.
Okay, I understand.
You can certainly address, just not...
Okay. Ms. Stutler, does this document represent the totality of the information that you have considered and presented to the board for this plan? Mr. Tucker, you mentioned at a previous board meeting in October when you were having discussions with Mr. Hamrick that further workshops were needed, that further consolidation or discussions were needed, and that you were concerned with the middle school, the population of the new middle school. Yet no discussions have taken place. Nothing has happened. No agenda minutes have been. In fact, you know what? If I look back through the meeting minutes for the previous meetings, you guys spent more time discussing the school calendar than you did this consolidation to get to this point where we're looking at closure. You talked about a decline in enrollment. Well, let me ask you this question, and this can be addressed to everyone. If enrollment is declining, and we need to cut 50 positions in this county, then why have positions at the board office and administration level increased? Can you explain that? Why was it over the board goals a few years ago to move staff out of the board office and back into the school system, and now we're only increasing when we complain about a lack of teachers? I'm running out of time, but Mr. Rollins earlier brought up a very good point. I could tell he was for the consolidation, but he expressed a concern that Mr. Hamrick expressed. How on earth are you going to get two high school populations in and out of Byrd at one time? How on earth are you going to get two middle school populations and two elementary school populations in and out of the access points of Liberty? How can you make this decision without even knowing what the plan might be? Mr. Hamrick, in the newspaper, you were quoted saying, well, if we decide to move forward with this plan, then we need to get additional plans for the students. Why are we waiting to get any additional planning? Why don't we have that now so when you make a decision, you don't look incompetent? You know, finally, I'm going to address, I appreciate Mr. Benham's discussion earlier. Culture is an issue in this county, and it's not just an issue in the school, it's an issue from the county office down. Until we fix that issue, combining schools is nothing more than a Band-Aid for a problem. It's just a Band-Aid. It's addressing the symptoms. It's giving Tylenol for appendicitis. You have to fix the issue. We got to provide a better quality education, not go against it and make it worse. And that's what we're going to do. I believe it. I think you know it deep inside. I've got nothing else.
Elena Harper.
Hello, my name is Alana Harper. I'm a junior here at Liberty, so for me it won't be affected as much as it will for my sister who's a freshman and my brother who's a fourth grader. As a student, I would think this decision would be beneficial if you came to the schools and asked how the students and teachers feel. Do I believe in change needs to happen? Absolutely. Have you guys looked at how many options? 9 circles is all I believe the board looked at. I can't say I'm involved in activities here because I'm not. I'm just a student here. I'm not as involved as my friends are for this cause. However, I've run super close with the secretaries and teachers here who have helped me get through some rough times. This place is honestly my home away from home. So why should someone else who can become close with the same people be stripped away of the option? I believe with school over 1,100 kids, they are not going to get the correct education or relationships. The staff here have worked tirelessly to help make this place a better experience and make us evolve and have pride. Why are you going to take that away from them? Why are you going to take that away from the students? Did you know we had multiple current students and future students at our homecoming game at our tailgate? So many kids, even if these schools aren't fully utilized, are excited to come here. Have you guys ever thought of bringing the middle school here? Have you ever thought WI deserved their school, or have you ever thought of building a new Northview, since I know the condition since I was there? Just like you did for Bridgeport, because that wasn't a problem. Leave Salem alone with all the small amount of students, because Salem is almost dead and taking their schools demolishes the school completely. I cannot imagine my sister going to Byrd with over 1,000 kids. How can someone who is used to a small setting excel in such a big school and not get lost? How about my brother who needs a small setting? How will he exceed in schools over 700 kids? Does the county really care about the students' mental health or the future in general if they are only focused on the number of students in a building? Currently, we lost one of my favorite teachers. We lost a great mentor. We lost the most influential man at the school to help you. I understand that it's not in your control, but he's the reason I came to school daily or would have skipped almost every day. Why did it seriously take an accident to have just a superintendent to show up? The students shouldn't have to worry if they will even be here next year since our math department is gone. By the way, why are full-time jobs being demolished and not posted? Why are you really trying to close everything next year? What I mean is the rumor of you guys laying to find a math department to do an emergency closure due to staff. Let's stop the rumors and let's be transparent, because even though I have not followed this as closely, I do know a lot of this has been put out rightly. Thank you.
We have two speakers left, and we're going in order, but if Mr. Lane, if you don't mind, Mr. Hare was also signed up, so I think we'll let him speak last, if you don't have an objection.
My name is Mike Lane. Graduated from Liberty in 1974, the first graduating class. My wife Kathy graduated from Liberty in 1975. My daughter graduated from WI. High school in 1995. My son graduated from RCB in 1997. I have two granddaughters that are seniors this year who are graduating in a few months. Catherine Odom from Liberty and Lillian Lane from RCB. Lillian just competed at the We Are the People competition in Charleston. They won, and they're going to go on to compete at the national level in Washington, D.C. I hope one day she's up there. Two of my grandsons are now attending high school, one at Liberty and one at RCB. Two of my older grandchildren graduated from Liberty, and another granddaughter attends Northview and will attend Mount Middle next year. I also have three very young great-grandsons that live in the Liberty territory, and I hope one day that they all get to graduate from Liberty. I have a lot of past, present, and future at those two schools. I can't understand how the numbers of students attending each school and the capacity of each school has changed since 2021, when the existing Comprehensive Education Facilities Plan was adopted or came out. That plan called for building a new Norwood grade school, a new Washington Irving Middle School on RCB's campus, and a new Northview grade school. What has changed? The Norwood grade school should have been built. The Norwood parents/voters and students deserve that school. A new WI Middle School should have been built years ago. Those parents/voters and students deserve that school. Liberty High is an excellent school, and the parents, voters, and students at Liberty deserve for it to continue. The seniors graduating this year will be able to vote in this next election in May. I wonder who they'll vote for. In the following elections, 2 years from now, they'll be able to vote also. I want this board to consider the input and views from all parties. I don't know how you can anticipate re-election if you vote for these mergers/consolidations and closures. All of these schools have their own individual personalities. They deserve to keep them. Since you aren't building any of the schools that were proposed in the most recent 10-year plan that cost approximately $60 million, where is that money going to be spent now? If you aren't spending it, give it back to the taxpayers and voters. The numbers in these plans are all over the place. Nothing is consistent. These numbers should have been vetted by an accounting firm. The engineering firm has done a poor job of putting the numbers and proposals together, but as long as we keep paying them, they'll keep giving us the same old stuff. They need to be fact-checked. This county can support and has supported 5 high schools since 1991 or 92. I'm not sure the exact year, but RW was the last high school done away with. Mr. Hope was part of that. My kids were both part of that too. They were in middle school and junior high at that time. I know Mr. Hope is upset that they closed RW High School, and that he was not moved to WI as a coach or an administrator at that time. And that was probably 33 years ago. RW was the last high school closed. Why close Liberty? To the board, don't forget, you were elected to represent all the voters of Harrison County. Not for your own special interest or to take orders from Charleston. Thank you.
Robert Byrd.
Oh, you're done.
Just wait a second there before you begin. Thanks, Bob. I appreciate your good guy. Tough spot. You have to completely kind of understand that you hired me to lead school. It's not been an easy 8 months. And if you have sat in the seat that I've had to sit in, you would realize that. This job's not easy. Any of you that have done it for a extended amount of time, I know some of you have. I don't know how you did it, because I don't know that I can do this for 10 more years. The reality is that there's just expectations in this building that I don't think that you understand. I'm not going to make everybody happy tonight. I'm going to make some of you unhappy. I'm going to make some of you unhappy. But the reality is that when you're a leader, you can't always worry about who you upset and who you got to do what's right. I'm going to give you 3 perspectives, kind of the 3 faces of what I kind of am. I don't have a shirt tie on, I don't have a nice suit. I didn't want to do that. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, first of all, being Butch Harry, who's a graduate of Liberty High School. And it was kind of set on a path to public education that, truthfully, I probably would never have went in if it wasn't for my agriculture teacher. But what a blessing it's been to be able to do that for 22 years. It's hard. Sometimes I wish I could go back to being 18 years old and tell Mr. Carr to leave me the heck alone and go do something else in my life. The reality is, though, the blessing that's been given, I could never repay. You come to work, some people say for a paycheck. I don't come to work for a paycheck. If I did that, I would go do something else. I come to work because I love being here. And I didn't have to be here. I could have stayed at Lincoln, been a football coach. I could have been an ag teacher. Could have done all the things I was successful at. But there's other challenges that were kind of given to me. And I'm going to talk to you about the second thing, about being a principal. I didn't want this job 8 months ago. This has been a challenging 8 months. Some of you guys are, this is where I'm going to make some of you guys mad. I know that some of you guys said some negative things about the former principal. The reality is, if you want to be mad about stuff, be mad at me too. I sat in those decisions. But I'm man enough to tell you that I sat there. I didn't always agree with him. To be truthful, when I first started, I didn't like Mrs. Knight. She probably didn't like me. I was an arrogant person. I was an arrogant person. And you clap, but what you don't understand is I've learned more in that time about how not to be that person. See, I left here after 2 years because I knew there was other things I could go back and chase. There was other goals and other opportunities. And she said, Robert, and she says it loud when I know I'm in trouble. The reality is that you're going to probably be back because this is where you're supposed to be. And I'm back. And I'm back because she gave me another chance. So you can be mad and think that she had something to do with it. It's not true. The truth is that we have done a great job here and kind of telling everybody how great we are. And that's my fault too. I thought a lot before I even spoke tonight. It's easier for me to sit in the back and just keep my mouth shut. I drove back from Philadelphia yesterday with my son, and I'm going to talk to you about the third thing, the thing that really is, this is why I'm dressed the way I am and who I am, about my children. I have one daughter who goes to school here, and she's a U.S. presidential scholar. Listen, and nobody else has that around here. The truth is, it was these people that put her in those positions, along with her mother, not me. I'm just kind of there a lot of times. But they gave her the things that she needed to be successful, and I'll be forever be grateful for that. I have a son here right now, too. He loves liberty. I didn't think he would. He's not the FFA kid. You know, and it's hard when your dad's the principal. It is. You know this. You know this. And it's really hard whenever people want to close your school. I didn't know what to say to him, except, you know, son, you've trusted me and through your whole life, and the children in this building do too. The kids here, man, they're the most resilient group of kids you'll ever meet. And I don't write anything down. I only write anything down when I prepare my sermons for church. Just don't do that. I just speak from the heart. And very rarely do I ever get lost in words. And if that timer goes off, guess what? I'm going to keep talking for a couple seconds. The reality is, though, it's my job to take care of these children in this building. It's my job to take care of the staff in this building, and you hired me for that purpose. If we have to go to another school, I'll knock this thing over before I go. Mrs. Stutler, came and took a little bit of time to spend some time with our staff, reassuring they were going to have positions. And she said this to me in front of everybody, we're going to send you. You're going to be the assistant principal. And I'll take whatever role you give me. I'm not running from these kids. This is night, I didn't run from these kids. You'll be what you want. I'm not running from any of you. It's a lot easier to go take a different job. It's a lot easier to go. I got 10 years left and I can retire, folks. What kind of person would I be if I did that? What kind of coward would I be if I ran? If that's the job and that's the task you decide that's what we're going to do, trust me, I speak to Dr. Looker a lot. Robert C. Byrd's a good school. It is. I taught there. I've been in Jamie for a lot of years. The truth is that I wasn't even supposed to be in this school. I'm one of the first people to break all these rules about coming here and not playing sports and stuff. Yeah, we did that. I'm not a period kid. I know everybody from Byrd. Sometimes you're put in places in life because you're supposed to be there, not because you want to be. And I don't know what you believe in. I don't really. That's totally up to you. I was put here for a reason. Mrs. Knight told me before she left in August when she called, she said, I'm not really sure this is exactly the right thing. But she's told me many times you're the right person. It's hard to live up to every single day. It is. What I'm asking you to do, if it's a decision you make, is let us fix it. Let us make what we have here. Let's take it to Byrd. If that's what we got to do, we got to do it. See, I got a culture here that you don't know. You don't wear the L on your chest. See, I have my staff here, guess what? They're all from here. They don't have to be here. And it's been tough. They came in, cried. Some people have left. Every single day is a challenge. But I've been taught how to deal with those things. And I was taught to deal with those things from having the opportunity to graduate from here. You guys have a tough decision to make. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes. I wouldn't. I think you'll do what's right. And maybe we don't all agree. But understand this. Whatever you decide, if this has to be what we give the Byrd, it's not the money. It's not the school colors, it's not the fight on. Listen, I flipped this place around in 2 months. It was 1998 Liberty. Come and see it. It's been tough ever since. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it was here. And just for that short bit of time, I was super, super excited to get a chance to do what I wanted to do. But what I'm gonna provide in Byrd is the culture. And you can't teach culture. If you don't know what it is to be a mountaineer, you don't know what it is to be a mountaineer. If you're not from here, you'll never understand. We have to scrap, fight, do everything we have to do every day to make it. Because it's the community we live in. I love these people. They spend time, they come to my office. I don't have discipline problems here. You want to know why? Because their parents take care of it at home. Or they call me and we have a good discussion. That's not everywhere. Understand what we've built here. It's not been built in 8 months. It's been built since the days of Wilson Curry, Mr. Book. And the reality is I've had a lot of people that I graduated with call and said, what in the world's going on? I can't give them a straight answer. And a lot of them said, I can't believe they put you in charge. I said, yeah, I understand. But every person I've talked to said, you're going to do what's right. And you guys are going to do what's right. Just give me the opportunity, this is what we have to do, to work with Dr. Looker, to work with the staff at Robert Stewart, who I know very, very, very well. I grew up with a lot of them. Actually, I live right beside a lot of them. I told you sometimes you're put in a place for a certain reason. I don't know why I moved to Montpelier. I don't know. I don't know why I know everybody from there. I don't know. But I'm not going to let this place just go. I can't. I don't know where I'll be in a couple years. None of us do. You never know how life's going to turn out. But I'll always be a mountaineer. And if anything, the happiest people about this consolidation or merger should be Robert C. Byrd, because what they get, no one else has. I hope that everyone here stays. And the closing part that I want to give to you, I don't know how I'm going to run the school next year. I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be tough. I don't know how many staff members I'm going to have. I don't know how many students I'm going to have. I've lived through more than 8 months than most people will ever go through in 20 or 30 years of being an administrator. And if you don't believe me, come and sit in my seat. But I promise you, we'll do what we got to do. I won't let this school fail. I won't let these kids not have what they need. And I don't think you will either. I appreciate your time. Appreciate the honesty as we kind of go through and have these conversations. I appreciate your trust in me and the staff that I have here that I wouldn't trade for anything. And most importantly, the students I have here that I love dearly. That make getting up in the morning and coming to a job, and sometimes I don't even really want to do. It makes it worth it. Because when they come and say, Mr. Herod, thank you. And guess what? It is Mr. Herod, it's not Herod. We don't do that here. We do have respect. And we'll bring those things over to our next school. Or if you give us a chance, 1998 Liberty was pretty fun. I enjoyed my time here. We get that chance, I'll make it 1998 Liberty again. Thank you guys for your time, and thanks for not kicking me off. Thank you, Todd, for resetting that a couple times. Thank you.
That concludes our speakers for tonight. It brings down to board member comment. And with that, we do have some questions that we've taken down, and I'll get board member comments, from them, and if they have any questions to ask based on what was given here. But first, I want to go back because one question was addressed directly to me from Mr. Burgess, and I want to address that. And it was, he made a statement that I said something in the paper that people didn't show up, and you said that's because everyone thinks it's a done deal, and I think there's too much of that in government these days. You're right. You're 100% right. And I can tell you, I'm going to put shock on their faces. There's nobody on this board that knows how I'm going to vote on this. Nobody. And I'm not lying about that, because I'll tell you, there are 6 votes that have to occur, and I'm not a yes on all 6 votes. So it's not a rubber stamp. I'm not sitting here. And when we were at Robert C. Byrd, I told the crowd there at that time, and I'm a man of my word, that I said I would fight like hell to make sure when this happens, that you weren't the only ones that lost. And that appears, you know, what a merger ends up being. Go to Byrd and there you go. And I don't believe in that. And I'll fight, and my vote is not going to be a yes if you're sent to Robert C. Byrd and it continues to be Robert C. Byrd. I think it needs to be researched. I'm not saying this in any way to pander to anyone. It's just that I said it and I meant it. And I leave this board June 30th, so someone else can you know, overrule me. But being a man of my word, I'm telling you that I said it and I mean it. And as long as that happens, if they just discount Liberty and send them over and you become part of Byrd, then I'm not going to be a yes vote. And that's just the way I feel. And I'm the only one on this board that represents the city of Clarksburg. So I don't know, that lives in the city of Clarksburg. I mean, we represent the whole county, but I think I'm the only one that's a Clarksburg resident. You know, I'm not saying what a name should be, but we are the county seat, and maybe something at least ought to be looked at that. I don't know what can be done, but as far as changing, you know, whatever, that's someone else's, you know, the naming is. But when it comes down to, if there's not a plan in place at the time of the vote, that changes, doesn't mean that it's going to not pass. I'm just voting my conscience when it comes to that. So that's the only thing I can say about that. So with that, Mr. Tucker. Well, I mean, you guys can ask those questions. That's what I'm expecting, are the questions that you're asking.
Okay, I thought you were going to do your questions.
No, I would rather you all do. You know, if you've got the question, ask the questions based on what we were asked. And I think that's the best.
Okay. Okay.
So, Mr. Tucker.
I think my question was from Mr. Heflin there.
Yes.
Could I hear that again?
At your previous, at one of the previous meetings, you talked with Mr. Hamrick about this process, about the discussions that needed to be, about the need for an additional workshop, and about your concerns for the middle school population as being one of the reasons that need. My question was, what have you board members discussed? When have these discussions taken place? And if they haven't happened, why not?
Well, for one thing, unless we have it on the agenda, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Hamrick, we can't sit down as board members and discuss it. Unless it's on. Pardon? Yes. That's the only thing.
Yeah, it needs to be on the agenda.
Yeah.
And I think his second follow-up question, has it been on the agenda?
No.
Why?
Why not?
That's what he's asking, why not?
Why haven't we had a meeting?
Actually, I mean, everything needs to be addressed to, Mr. Tucker is speaking to, I mean, I take leeway, we're not supposed to interact that much with the.
Go ahead.
Did you want me to read?
But if he's got a specific question.
So my question, just so you can hear me a little better, I don't know if my voice is carrying, but my question was, have those discussions happened? If not, why haven't those discussions happened? And what have you done personally to make to precipitate those discussions occur?
Okay. Well, I think they all know my belief here, and I do believe in smaller schools, without a doubt. And we have individually talked about that, but never have sat down and discussed, other than the lack of monies for that. We've talked about even a bond setting, and it didn't go any further than that.
I have several questions. In regards to special ed teachers and special ed students. Yes. Mrs. Stutler, do you know how many special ed teachers per school we have at this point? For how many at RCB and how many at Liberty, off the top of your head?
come between the questions to the superintendent. She can defer and ask you, but.
20 to 21. And do you know how many special ed students between both schools there are? Or if you can't, maybe you can get those for us later. So if that's over 200, that would put approximately 10 students on each caseload. Is that right? If all teachers, 200 moving. I'm sorry. Hold on. Okay, obviously there's some questions in regards to that. Can we get those numbers? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we need those before.
Yes.
Anything from the
Okay. I believe when Mr. Rollins spoke at the last meeting, he stated that the facility was built for 1,200 students, and meaning if the facility was built for 1,200 students, that the use and accommodations of that facility were appropriate for 1,200 students, correct? Okay. 1262, I think is. The ProStart programs, do we have the plan for the restaurant and the bakery combining the two, or just having them two separate programs? Is that?
There's two separate spaces right now.
So there is space for the.
3,500 square feet, I have to check on because I wrote it down.
Okay, and you will check on that and let us know? Oh, wait, hold on 1 second. I got, where is it? Who gave us the cups? Yes. When you spoke of your baggage, your terms, your words, not mine. Okay. Okay. Are you saying that this young lady or this teacher will also have room for her baggage, and there's enough room over there for her stuff and all of her equipment and everything? Okay. And that program will transfer to Byrd. Okay. That's all. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I've got VOAG questions. I've got note read right here. Now the VOAG departments, I think there are two separate programs of VOAG. One VOAG is animals, and the other one are plants. Is that correct?
There's horticulture and there's an agribusiness. They have the greenhouse products.
They have the greenhouse at Robert
It
Zero.
is a more dynamic FFA program. They have agri-mechanics, forestry, and they also have greenhouse.
And all those programs will be at Byrd, and there is existing space at Byrd for those programs. Okay. From what I understand, there are 8 science labs at Byrd that are actually probably not being used. There's 3 empty, and
Being shared. There's a couple science teachers there that are using 2 rooms.
they don't need the 2 rooms. Okay, but usually, and all of the equipment and everything from Liberty, including safety equipment and safety, if it's not at Byrd and they don't bring it over there, all of their equipment and everything will be in place when they get there, yes? Okay.
If it's a special move, we've talked about that. If it's something with chemicals, we will hire the appropriate folks to move those chemicals if it's not a maintenance.
Okay.
What's fine and what's proposed?
I said, we can't really
So from what I gather and what I understand, funding is a lot, some of the funding actually comes from the levy in support of these programs. I know under science equipment and educational supplements and things like that. So will Liberty's money get to go over to Byrd's money and combine the monies? I think it's basically based on population, is it not? When it's divided up.
When the staff moves to Robert C. Byrd, if you look at the levy funding, it will be divided among the teachers just like it is in any other building. That money will go with those students. It's based on students, on the number of students.
And each teacher will receive their
Right.
funding as
just like they do now. Yes.
the CEF plan.
CEFP.
CEFP.
10-year plan.
When it was written, who wrote it?
That might be better answered by Mr. Lopez. He was the chair of that committee.
And how long ago was it written?
It was written in 2019, 2020.
It's like a year-long
Yeah,
process.
McKinley was the architect for that. It was a community that they kind of went together and worked on it. Of course, we were getting close to COVID at that time, and there were some inaccuracies in the square footage with Robert C. Byrd. And going back and looking at that, it was not, if the 2010 CEFP was correct, not the 2020.
Was that?
Good. There was some controversy, to be honest with you, about the amount of utilization, and some of the communities piped up about that. And so I don't know if that had something to do with the utilization, but when you go back and look at it, it was accurate in the 2010 CEFP.
And is the CEFP end all, or is it a working document?
It's a fluid document.
So it was never intended to be the end all. It was intended to be the starting point and thus evolve and change as the community changed?
Yeah, there's a process that you go through when you want to make changes in the CEFP, and that has to be approved by the State Board of Education. So what one group of people are interested in, and the Board of Education at that time wants, and what a new board may want, can change. And a lot of it has to do with what you're able to financially do to build schools, or to put additions in, security entrances, different things like that.
Okay. Mrs. Sutler?
Yes.
Can you, probably not with it not being right in front of you, but off the top of your head, and maybe with some help from your staff, can you tell us exactly what the levy provides Harrison County Schools?
Wow. All of the coaches' salaries that we have across the county, so all over $1 billion for coaches' salaries, textbooks, the instructional supplies that you're talking about that follows the students. All of the teachers are provided teaching supply money from that. It also supplies for teachers and staff. It supplies dental and vision for our teachers and staff. It also supplies a supplement in pay. So we do actually, if you look at the surrounding counties other than Doddridge is an outlier because their funding sources are very different. They have oil and gas revenue there. They do pay higher salaries to their teachers, but if you look at us compared to Lewis, Taylor, we are higher paid in salaries. We offer more benefits to our employees, and we can do that through the excess levy and from, Harrison County citizens providing that. We also provide free
admission to all of our sporting events from the levy for our senior citizens. We also use that money to provide free lunches to everybody in Harrison County. We were able to make up that difference with excess levy money because our school lunch program, during COVID, the school lunch program sustained itself, and really they gave extra money. That money is gone. So now we just look for our lunch program to be able to pay for itself. We're not making money from that, from our school lunches. So we do put in money from the excess levy to cover that. It also covers substitutes when if we can get substitutes, because that's difficult. The teacher's out, the excess levy pays for substitute costs. You think of anything? It covers transportation for trips, all the extracurricular, sporting events. It pays for all the busing for the sporting events. It pays for, we provide money to the library, the local library, out of our excess levy. In our libraries, music, theater, band, all supported through the excess levy. Most of our arts programs paid for through the excess levy. So,
does the excess levy also still pay for student admission also? Students that are admitted free to their...
Oh, yes, for the sporting events. It picks up, the excess levy also picks up additional salaries for pro officers in our schools. Comes out of that, additional counselors, mental health professionals. We have about $4 million that comes in every year for maintenance on schools, and about $2.5 million of that just goes for daily general maintenance. We try to for capital improvements. It would be anything from repaving, anything we do to a school, we have that amount to put toward capital improvements. It does a lot for our school system, and there are counties around us that do not have a levy, and they do not offer the things that we can offer. We're very fortunate in this county to offer those things.
Have you met with Dr. Looker and discussed?
We have. I know that came up, and because this is such a difficult thing, you don't want to move too far ahead because you don't want folks to feel like there's already been a decision made. We were trying to make some preliminary plans. After the board votes, we did do a preliminary schedule with Dr. Looker. We took every staff member from here and every staff member from Robert C. Byrd and put them in a preliminary schedule. And so we are working on that, looking at even the needs for this building for next year. As Mr. Harrod said, it's been a difficult time for him, and nobody's not looking at that. We understand that because of just the talk of closure affects all of our buildings. It really does. So, and of course the students with closures.
Now, as far as the closure document itself, is this a form from the State Department?
The closure document, it's a form, it's a fill form. If you wanted to go online and look at the School Building Authority, go look at any of the state school board agendas, you'll see this exact same format for every closure. Clay County just did 3. If you go online and look at some state board agendas, look up Clay County, you're going to see these exact same agenda. We fill in, like the impact statement was supposed to be very general. They told us that, so we actually did what we were asked to do as far as the state was concerned for the closure document. This is the standard closure document for any school in the state of West Virginia. We did get the RCB currently has 149 special ed students, Liberty currently 113, with a total of 262 RCB special ed teachers are 10. Liberty currently has 9. We have 19 special ed teachers. And as far as classroom ratios, it doesn't matter what building you're in. We have numbers that we have to provide or fall under with classroom student ratios. Special ed numbers at Byrd and the numbers per teacher will not be any different than anywhere else because we have to, it's federal law.
So in doing the math, the numbers you just gave me, that's 14 per caseload.
Correct. It depends on the needs of the students. Sometimes
If the numbers
yeah.
of students remain the
What's
same.
that? Yeah.
Well,
Depends
because
on the
I know some
exception.
seniors will be graduating and you'll be getting more freshmen in, and by the time that comes, that number can change. But presently, if it happened tomorrow, it would be 14 per caseload.
Correct. If you just did a general across the board, yeah. The continuum of services will be provided. It's provided in all of our schools because we're required to do that.
I think that's all my questions.
We have several across the county. If you'll look at our posting that goes up, we have quite a few positions open right now, special ed non-certified.
Okay, I had a couple questions directed towards me, Mr. Burgess, and every meeting we've come to, and Mr. Burgess has been there for whatever reason, he doesn't like Doug Hogue, and I don't know. I never know anything to Mr. Burgess. I didn't know him from Adam the first time I met him, but that's okay. You know, a lot of people we go through life. Some people like you, some people don't. But I know one thing. I taught for 35 years. I was a teacher, a coach, an athletic director, an assistant principal, and a principal. And I've been on the Board of Education for 12 years. And I'm going to continue in this job, but that's not up to me. That's up to the voters of Harrison County. He did say one thing in regard to a question about me talking to a coach, and he said something about how soon we was going to close and everything. That coach, Mr. Harmon, was up at a basketball clinic where my grandson and his daughter and all were playing, and the rumors have been going for it didn't start overnight. It's been going on for about the last 3, 4, 5 years. And every superintendent that we've had prior to this, to Mrs. Stumpler, people was approaching them about what are we going to do? Schools are getting smaller, number of students are dropping, the facilities are aging out. When I was at Washington Irving Middle School as a principal, where it was 113 years old then. And there's a lot of problems in the school. And it's where it's located. We have a lot of people walking on the streets that doesn't make it safe where it's at. So whatever takes place there, you know, eventually, who knows? But Mr. Harmon asked me, I'm not going to lie to him. I'm not going to lie to anybody that asks me a question that if I can answer. Not knowing for sure when it was, he said, is it going to be 4 or 5 years before a possibility of the consolidation? And I said, no, I foresee a couple more years. Okay? And that was all that was said at that time. There hadn't even been a plan drawn up or talked about except by the other superintendents. And that was this year, that was one of Mrs. Stuckler's goals, was to put together a tentative consolidation plan. And so she followed the board's recommendation and she put together a plan. So anyway, nobody loves kids more than I do. I got 3 grandchildren that I'm immensely proud of, as you are proud of each and every one of yours. I have a grandson who's a senior at Fairmont State College and is going to be a nurse. I have a grandson who is in the 7th grade of Washington Irving Middle School, and, you know, very, very intelligent young man, as you all have intelligent young daughters and sons. And then I have a granddaughter who is at Norwood, but when the state came in and said, hey, you have got to shut Norwood down, you know, and so she was told that she would be going to another fort. You know what? We as adults have a hard time accepting change. A lot more than the children or the students themselves. My granddaughter was there, and in a week, she had her friends from Norwood, her friends, and she had made another fort. It happens that quick. It's easier for the kids than it is for the adults. Trust me. I've already walked a mile in those moccasins, Mr. Burgess. And I'm not going to tell you any Roosevelt Wilson stories, 1988 or whatever, okay? But it was 89, 90 that was the cap on it. All right, Mr. Frankie?
Thank you, Joe. So, none of this is easy, all right? None of this is easy. Everyone here is evidently, we can see how much, I can see how much you care for the school, how much you care for what you do. You know, I know a lot of you. I went to school with John. You know, we were friends growing up. You know, it's one of those situations, Maria Morrison, her daughter and my daughter are in the same class together. This is not an easy choice. This is not an easy situation to find us in. You know, Liberty has had a lot of struggles this past couple of years, and I tell you, the resilience is there. It's amazing what you see. But there were a couple of things that brought question to me that I wanted to make sure that we kind of explain. So the levy process, right? From a levy standpoint, the board's not allowed to be involved with any kind of promotion or any kind of anything to do with the levy in regards to promoting, right? We have to step back. And the committee, if the community wants to form a committee, they're more than welcome to form a committee, and they're more than welcome to start pushing the levy or not pushing the levy. I mean, there are people for it and against it. One of the things that I'd like to talk about is special ed. That's something that's very dear to me, very dear to my heart, and I want to make sure that whatever I do, whatever's in my power to control, that the special ed needs of these children are met. Because stepping into a new environment with IEPs and 504s and teachers that don't know your IEPs and your 504s, not only is it scary for the kids, it's scary for the parents. I can tell you right now, I have daughters that have 504s and IEPs, and it scares me when those needs are not met, or when things like that they have to change. You know, it's never an easy situation to go through. I did have a question about the auxiliary gym. Who brought up the question about the auxiliary gym? If I'm not mistaken, there is an auxiliary gym already at Byrd. They already have one, I think. Yeah. So then I started thinking, Mrs. Smith asked a lot of questions that I was going to ask as well. So I'm kind of glad that's why she went first, yeah. But that started bringing up questions about some of the athletic levy funds and some of the facilities here at Liberty. There was a very nice weight room facility here, and I'd like to know what's going to happen with that weight room facility. Is that going to be able to be transferred over? Would it be transferred over? Would it stay here? Any ideas on that? I mean, there was, if I'm not mistaken, it was donated.
I mean, the equipment definitely could go. Yeah. There's nothing, I mean, the equipment could go.
Right. I mean,
and then the middle school could equip the, space for what uses they may need with that. Okay. But definitely the equipment could go as purchased for Liberty athletes.
Okay. What happens with the athletic levy funds? Does that split between the schools now? Will they get the additional money that's left over from the athletic levy funds?
Well,
here?
they still have a year to operate next year, so those levy funds will remain here, and then if the board chooses, and that's the vote that you take, to merge into Robert C. Byrd, then those funds would go with the students to Robert C. Byrd. But they will need those funds next year to operate. That won't change next year.
And what about booster monies?
It's the same.
Same thing?
Yeah, we built it much smaller scale, but the way we did it with the Norwood, because they moved into 2 schools, we looked at that levy money first and the educational money. Then we looked at the general fund money that the school had, and then it was divided by per pupil, but that will all go to Byrd, be put in their general fund. And then we worked on the boosters and the outside groups, bringing them together, and that money went with the students as well. So.
One of the big things that I had a question about was financially, what would we lose? Is there a number that we could get that financially what we would lose if the levy was not renewed?
Oh. It's a lot.
Specific, like
Yeah.
35 million, 8 million, 2 million? Right. 32 million? And that's each year, correct?
It's based on the need.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a big consideration right there. And then the ingress and the egress for the schools. What's going to be the plan to address, you're adding a lot more students here and a lot more students at Byrd. And one of the reasons that I was not in favor of putting a WI up at RCB was because we would have so many students up there. If we would put Liberty up there, if we would put WI up there, we would have well over 1,500 students going in and out of there, and cars and teachers. So what would be the plan for addressing the buses going in and out, traffic going in and out? I mean, it's not ideal to begin with. I mean, there's only one way.
Well, I mean, initially at Robert C. Byrd, you would have had that many students on that campus. So I think I'd defer back to when that school opened. You had the same, and if there's any way to get another egress out of there, I think we can look at that. I know there's some property there. I don't know how tied up it is.
It would be worth investigating, at least.
Right. No, I agree with that. A lot of them have vehicles, but they didn't have before. Yeah.
I'm done.
Quickly.
What about the time that Coach Harmon and Coach Shields put in all these football boys? You know, they don't get that back. What about that?
I'm going to close it here, and I will say I appreciate everyone coming, everyone speaking. I really appreciate Mr. Harrod's speaking because it was from the heart, it was about the school, and I think it tied it all together. So I do appreciate that. I appreciate everyone that was here, and this is, as we said before, and Mr. Tucker always thanks people for coming after our board meetings because it is your government at work, and sometimes we don't like it. And, it's the old saying that, you never want to see how sausage is made. And unfortunately, we're making sausage, and I don't know how it's going to turn out. So, with that, is there a motion to adjourn? Oh, and if I can back up real quick, these questions that were asked, if everyone who asked those, and I want to say whoever spoke tonight and asked a question there, if they could send those to Caitlin, who we send the delegation forms to, if they can send those questions that they asked tonight, just so we make sure are able to prepare a document for our next meeting that we can pass out that hopefully answers those questions in a better format if we've not reached it. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn? Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.